Hello, hello, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon. We are here to do another read and see where it takes us. Hope everyone's enjoying their morning or their afternoon or their evening, of course, whenever you are coming across this read after it posts. I'm doing this currently at 9:45-ish in the morning. Oh, actually, it's 10 o'clock, 10:06. It's 6 and 1 equals a 7, which is a spiritual number, and it's the 7th of June. Interesting. Hey Google, what is the significance of June 7th, 2026, and the time being 10:07 of when we are, I'm sorry, when the time is 10:06 when we're starting this reading? What is the significance numerologically?
In numerology, June 7th, 2026, emphasizes balance, observation, and intentional action. The number 7 is associated with introspection and looking inward, while the number 6 for the month highlights themes of community, harmony, and responsibility. Today's energy encourages you to stay calm and lead with confidence rather than force. Regarding the specific time of 10:06 a.m., the combination of 1 and 6 suggests a moment to bridge your personal drive with a softer, balanced approach. It's a reminder to pause and observe your environment before reacting to any sudden stressors. Would you like to hear more about how this energy applies to your specific life path number?
No, thank you. Here we are. Interesting, because I do already feel like I'm being, I'm soft and mellow and all of those things. We have our peach here. Could have something to do with Georgia. Our Georgia peach. Could have something to do with somebody's peach. It could have something to do with a little bit of peach fuzz. I'm also thinking peach cobbler or a peach dump cake. What was said about the number 7 as far as the time is concerned, I just saw a video about. That's an interesting little twist there. Or is it? Because, you know, our social medias are all connected to our Google, right? So, I mean, it could have been from that. So here we are. We've got our peach and we've got our calculator and we have a new day. Maybe someone was trying to figure out some kind of way. Calculator adding up to a new day. Maybe somebody's outlook on a situation always adds up to a new day being just peachy. Scrolling through either information that's being heard or scrolling through on your phone, looking at the influencers, perhaps something about Hollywood. Everything that somebody's doing could be being recorded and posted online. Recording again with the scribe, and this card came out at the same time, casually copying someone, casually keeping track or casually keeping record. And then we have the little A line. Short in the back, long in the front. You can still put your hair up on the sides, right? And it still looks really cute. Something that started quite small, but then got really large or bigger by the end of it. Perhaps it's a little bit out of control. But mind you, everything has been casually recorded. Almost like they're recording it all, making a movie of it all. As one of our commenters commentors had mentioned when I said that this scenario is going to be made into a movie, and they posted all things. Yes, all things are made into a movie. All things are recorded. All things unseen are seen. I find it interesting when people don't understand that. Nobody is above that. Nobody is excluded from the process of everything being recorded and everything unseen being seen. This person has been quite busy. Maybe it looks like their little steps or their movements are a little bit random, but they're not. This reminds me of watching a little bunny hopping away out of my pathway in my vehicle. And once it realized that it was out of harm's way, it took that look back to find out what the heck had happened. Everybody's life is in review. It was my saving grace that the bunny or the situation had even happened. Because of that bunny looking back, I checked my tires just to make sure that I didn't harm its buddy, its friend, its family. Because the way the bunny looked back, it seemed like, one, it was either assessing what just happened, or two, waiting for someone to appear. It broke my heart. So I had to look at my tires, and there and behold, I found out that my inside of my tire had steel tread, and I would have never seen it had that bunny not been there. So there's a purpose and a reason to most things that go on in one's life. Even if it's something that seems like it's part of some kind of storyline. Look how she stands there. She's pleased. We have a few entitled people here with the blueberry. Oh, look, the hoot hoot owl, and how ironic is that the one that doesn't speak is right under it. So I guess it would go this way in the spread, right? Maybe someone feels like someone who is talking about things is quite entitled. Or perhaps someone is coming out of the woodwork to discuss things about people who are entitled with the things that they've been carrying on about. These people could have tendencies to be a little promiscuous, a little distracted, a little random. There also could be high producers. They're so entitled that they mess themselves up. They're so entitled that they speak to the wrong individuals about what it is that they're doing. Can I get to it? How funny was that? I guess that was a loud and clear confirmation. If anyone heard that on your side, I don't know if you did. So sorry. I don't recall setting that alarm. But anywho. So we've got these entitled people who are speaking way too much about the stuff that's been going on, cackling about. They think there's no one in the background taking note, paying attention, someone in the dark, someone in their shadow. They're amused by it all. They even have meals with this person or these people. This whole scenario where they go and spend hours with these people is their bread and butter, folks. It's their job to be there. I can only assume it's someone who's been a part of it for quite some time, and they decided that they were going to go ahead and be on the side that takes a good, hard look at the evilness that resides within this group. You know, the evil eye is there as a reminder of who not to be. It reminds those who understand what it means. Do not be jealous. Do not be evil. Do not be unkind. Because it does come back to you. This is the all-seeing eye. Again, like in the beginning, I was saying, all things unseen are seen. And this is the reminder of that. These people are making a spectacle of themselves. They're putting themselves between a rock and a hard place. And this one, again, with the hospital, and now we've got the peacock. Arrogance. Arrogance is only going to lead them to a place of needing to go somewhere to heal. They're going to need a doctor, whether it's a physical or a mental. This level of arrogance is just so dysfunctional. It's a mental health crisis. These entitled individuals are just so cocky. They're so arrogant. And as I said before, they discuss it. They talk about what they've done openly. They carry on like it's the best thing in the world, forgetting the fact that it's horrid and dysfunctional. This is the lobster card. It's like dropping a lobster into a boiling pot of water. That's what they're doing to themselves. They're putting themselves in a very vulnerable situation, aren't they? But heck, it's all written, right? Let them do what they want to do. It will be their demise. We've got our crown here. Stay in that energy. Stay classy, stay regal. And I'm talking about the true meaning of what a king or a queen is. What it's intended. I was out and about yesterday and I had somebody, I think it was the security guard or a gate guard or whatever, and he had asked me, he goes, I drove up. This is like the third interaction I've had with this individual. And our conversations are always a little bit odd. It's like I drive away from them like, why did he just say that? Or why did he just ask me that? Or why did he just tell me that? But you know, there's just some people in the world who feel like they're comfortable with certain people in the world and they just do that. So I just chalk it up as, all right, I guess I was supposed to be there at that time. Anywho, yesterday he had asked me when I drove up, he said, is there anyone in your back seat? And I looked at him, I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, no, why? And I'm thinking, Why would there be? Well, because I just want to make sure that what I'm going to ask you isn't going to be overheard by anybody. All right, here we are. He told me, what would you do if somebody said something about you in a language that you understood, but they didn't know that you understood? And I said, I'd pray for them. And he took a big sigh, like I was saying something that was right and that he should have known, but also like it wasn't really the answer he had wanted. So he asked me again, and he told me even more details about it, saying that this person who said these things had come by before again the time after that, and they had their window rolled up and they didn't have to interact with this individual. So he couldn't say anything to them at that point. And in my mind, I'm thinking that was divine intervention. And I let him know, I said, usually people who are like that and they say things about people, they're not okay. So that's why you pray for them. You pray for their healing. You pray for their perspective. You pray for them to be guided to think and act in a different way. He said, well, this person is due to come here about 8 o'clock tonight. And so, I just wanted to know what you thought. I said, never lower yourself to another individual. Their karma is always going to come around. And you don't want to put yourself in the same situation they're in by trying to be something you're not. Stand kind, stand respectful, stand with self-respect. I mean, you could always give them a greeting in the language that they are speaking in. That way they know that you know. And then you just leave it at that. And then they can just drive away feeling like an ass because they've been harming others. And that too, to harm another individual, is pretty psychotic. And it's even worse when they do it when they think you don't understand. It's kind of like doing it behind a computer screen or, in a group against one person, or, it's psychotic. It's not normal. So why in the world would you engage or interact with that kind of behavior? Look at that. We've got the authority badge there. If people have resources to do these kinds of things to people, let's just say if it was a group, let them waste their resources. Go ahead. Let them waste their time, their energy. It's not my business. Right? Orchid. I know it's hard to see, but it's pretty much a gift when people are like this. I mean, because it can turn into your own amusement towards them and what they're doing and what they're trying to do and how they're trying to start your day. And every single day and moment, they're thinking about you. They're thinking about you and how they can disrupt your existence. That's funny. Let's hope we get some different cards than our previous reads, huh? Bottom of the deck, we've got a diamond. I can't even think of the words to her song. Shining bright like a diamond, like a diamond, like a diamond. That pressure that's going on around you, that pressure that's meant to break you down, that pressure that's supposed to make you feel a certain way, to rack you through the coals. That's pressure of preciousness. It shows who you truly are. I mean, take it as a game of sorts, you know? Almost like a scavenger hunt. Okay, this person's going to do this. How am I going to respond to that? What is my true character? It's like almost like the Hunger Games in the psychological sense or the spiritual sense, right? I love that card behind the diamond card with the broken heart and the truth. I don't know if you can see it in the screen, but sometimes the truth hurts. We've got a stick in the mud. Someone could be bored with the fact that your integrity or your spiritual beliefs or your, I was going to say solace or solitude is just so firm. They feel like you're a stick in the mud. Why aren't you reacting the way we want you to react? Why aren't you doing the things we want you to do? You're a stick in the mud, and they're getting so frustrated and irritated about it that you're like a bore to them. I do have to also mention this little dot right here. I think it's funny that that's where that is. I don't know what it is, how it happened. I think it's even on the inside. Is it? But oftentimes I would open up an app on my phone and my GPS would show me being right there. Maybe up a little bit higher. I'm like, that's odd. So I think it's funny how it's kind of placed right there. We've got Red Rover, send Bonnie right over. Someone doesn't want to play the game, folks. They're a stick in the mud. You're no fun. You're no fun. I don't know if you can even see that because of the pencil. You're no fun. Oh, look at that. Someone's trying to take someone's sacral energies, the sacral chakra. Trying to disrupt somebody's creative nature, somebody's ability to take a risk. Medusa. There's two versions of Medusa that I know about. One is that she was taken advantage of in a spiritual temple of sorts. And the other one was that Medusa just kept getting attention by suitors. And in the first case, somebody was very upset that whatever happened to Medusa happened to her. And so in such a sacred space. And so they made it so, and then the other one, of course, was the fact that she was getting tons of attention. And so what somebody did was they casted a spell on Medusa so that it wouldn't happen anymore. That Medusa wouldn't get the attention of all those suitors, and that she wouldn't even get the attention enough to be taken advantage of in such sacred spaces. So they made Medusa scary, unlovable, unattractive, so that she'd be able to defend herself and turn people to stone just by staring at them. It's blaming the victim, folks. That's what they're doing. I know that if you've been on my channel for any amount of time or watched any of my videos or whatnot, you've heard some of my stories, and it's like, really? I remember I was invited to speak at training for people who were going through DV volunteer training, and they were asking me what was it like to be a survivor of such a program, I guess, because I was the quote-unquote victim in that program. And my answer was, am I truly a survivor of something that keeps going on and on? You can't be a survivor of something that's not over. We've got the scribe keeping record of all things thought of all things spiritual, of all things of this plane and others. Back in the olden days, they used to have scribes that would take books and they would rewrite the books so that other people can have a copy of that book. I just had the flash of the Bible. And I also had the thought of, what if somebody was scribing the Bible and they added their own 2 cents? It's like, how would anybody know but the scribe? Unless they compared stories, of course, unless they compared text, then I guess they would see that there was something added to the story that maybe wasn't supposed to be there. And it makes me wonder how many times that has happened, and to how many people, and to how many stories, and how many pieces of literature have they changed the progression or the information within the records? How many times? We've got Robin Hood. Just like the owls we talked about in the split of the deck when we were mixing the cards. And I do have to say, in case you're new here, these are cards that I made. They're all in different stages. There's some that just have the words on it, like Medusa, because I wanted to be able to use the card, but I didn't have the time to make the picture. And then there's some that have pictures, and there's some that have a rough picture, and then we've got the meanings on the back. So they're just all in different phases. Eventually I'll get them all done, I promise. These cards probably started back in 2020. Maybe. I started my doing art in 2017. And then I went into clay arts, working with clay. Whatever. Okay, back to the cards. We've got our Robin Hood card here. Robin Hood was someone who was part of the elite group, just like we were having that owl in the very beginning, that perhaps there was this owl that was part of this elite group, but then they woke up to the situation in the group that they were in. Maybe they saw some discrepancies in their belief systems or in their code of honor, I would say. Maybe someone saw some discrepancies there. I don't know why I'm having a thought that maybe when you go into these, the code of ethics or whatnot, the code of conduct, that originally when you probably came into these groups, you were made to tell or speak about something that you had done in life that maybe you didn't want anyone to know. And this way you're showing these people that you have some kind of trust and faith in them, that they are part of your tribe, so to speak. And in some cases, it started to evolve over time, where it wasn't just stuff that you came to the group with, but it was stuff that you participated with the group with, because they would encourage you to be a part of doing whatever it was that they were doing in order they can call it the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the familyhood. And then eventually it escalated to the point of, what are you going to do to prove that you want to be a part of us? And over time, it just escalated. But all of that is being recorded. We've got Robin Hood taking from the rich and giving to the poor, seeing the entitled behaviors of these people, of the aristocrats, of the people who are in higher places of income, and seeing them for what they are. Now, I'm not saying that all people who are of higher income are like this. Of course not. Right? You can't just blame a whole group of people just for a few. That would be ridiculous. That also brings me to a time when I remember that I was on a dating site and there was a person on there who represented themselves as a videographer. I think I said it right. And after getting on the phone with this individual, because, I tend to be a little bit, particular in who I'm willing to have conversations with, or I just like to give it some time to see if our personalities even line up or match, because it's like, why have a conversation with them or allow them a further step into my boundaries with my phone number if it's someone you don't even have a personality match with, right? So you want to give it some time. Oftentimes it seemed like I was always dealing with the same personality trait or the same kind of essence. I thought that was kind of interesting. Anywho, this individual got to my phone number stage and we had conversations, and then he went ahead and disclosed the fact that he was a person of authority, let's say. And because I've had situations with people of authority who took advantage of that authority and didn't really handle it with the kid's gloves or the honor that they subscribe to, I felt an instant alert within myself thinking, this is not a good situation. Don't continue the conversation. But I also knew that I had to be kind of because of my DV background, right? I had to be careful. I was true in what I was saying. I can't judge you for being in a place of authority, even though there's been circumstances where I can see and I've witnessed the kind of behaviors that those people in authority have contributed to. So I'm not going to judge you against a whole group of people. That wouldn't be fair. So I'm going to give the opportunity for you to be the person who you are, and for me to even recognize or learn to see who it is that you are, if that makes any sense. The thing that made it so weird is like one of the first conversations, or like the first few minutes of having this interaction with this person said that they were intrigued by me. And I thought to myself, how are you intrigued from a dating profile? Right? It mentioned I wanted to help people. It mentioned that I was an artist. It mentioned that I wanted to have my own little art experience studio, and I probably just called myself out on that now. It mentioned that I believe in karma, and what you do comes back to you, I believe. How is that intriguing? I don't know. But it gave me a sense that this individual knew who I was before we spoke. And you have to trust those kinds of feels, right? Anywho, this individual proceeded to say that they had some kind of meeting that they were going to go to, and perhaps someone was going to be investing in whatever it is, or whatever film or project that they had going on. And I encouraged this individual, I supported this individual, and I said, I hope it works out for you. Once they returned from their trip, I found out that these people that he went to go visit in some kind of weird offlandish state on the East Coast, pretty much. Like, why would there be investors there? And ironically enough, I had family members who lived in that state. I thought that was odd. Well, anywho, they decided that they were going to invest with him, and he was very excited about it, and then I never heard from him since. Interesting, right? A bag of balls. You never know what you're going to get. I thought it was rather ballsy, but I was also happy of the fact that I was ghosted, because that means that I didn't have to, when I was already in an uncomfortable situation, not trusting the situation that I was being faced with in the first place. Alarms went off, and I'm glad that I was ghosted. I'm not the chaser type, you know? I keep it regal. I'm not the mindless one that follows the zombie. We've got an empty carriage here, empty dreams. We do have a carriage, a person riding this carriage, right? Perhaps it's a zombie that wears a Robin Hood hat. Or used to be part of that group of these ballsy individuals. What does that mean that they have the sense to? They have the intellect. So they're connected to their intellect. And if we get the horse, that means that they're connected to their senses. If we get the reins, they're connected to their mind. And if we get the there was one other one that was meaning that they'd be connected to their spiritual. But we have someone who's connected to their intellect so far. Otherwise, they're not connected to their spirits or their mind. Or their senses. Sorry if I messed that up. We've got something getting ready to sprung. This card was an error on there. There's no P on the sprung. And I thought that was kind of funny because it's like if an individual is sprung on another individual, they don't have all their wits about them, right? They're kind of like, duh. They kind of get giggly. They kind of get distracted. They kind of get like, giddy. But in this case, there's something that's about to spring. It could be happening in the spring. Maybe the actions of these individuals, the fact that they're being a bag of balls. For those who don't know, that's another term for just kind of being a jerk. Being ballsy, jerky type of person. Someone who has no sense. I don't know why I was thinking about the traction or whatever that has to do with the wheels. What are the shock absorbers? Someone's going to be in shock. Maybe someone will be in shock that someone comes and reaches out an olive branch, wants to bring peace to a situation. Someone could be shocked that someone, maybe it's the Robin Hood, the one that's part of the group, is going to come and be like, you know what? These people are full of this mindless activity. And they're going to spring with the truth like we had those owls in the beginning. And they're going to come and bring some olive branch there to make some peace with the situation. We've got two cards coming out here. The A line is short to long. Maybe it's going to start as a short conversation and it's going to end up as a long conversation. So it's going to make someone end up being in the deer in the headlights that they are so shocked. Interesting that we have the shocked card of the deer in the headlights frozen in time when we've got the shocked of the spring there. It's the long and short of it, Being a deer in the headlights, that's also a trait of the ADD folks. I can say that because I know it's true. I have ADD. I've had it since a long time ago. I have a feeling that some of the information that's going to be shared is going to be something that's going to have someone just sitting there staring off into space like, I cannot believe that you're telling me this. We've got the scroll here. Maybe someone will be shocked to see what it is that they're seeing on the screen. They're shocked to see what it is that they're reading. Perhaps they're shocked to see the discrepancies in the truth. They're shocked to see what was taken from them and given to other people. But it's all recorded, remember that. We've got a professional here. Skunks. We have professional protectors in order. Or perhaps there's professional protectors already out and about. Skunks just want to be left alone, folks. Seriously. They'll show you their tail in order to show you, hey, I'm willing to use this if I have to. And perhaps things are being held over other people's heads and they're being told, I'm willing to use this if I have to. There are people out there that that's their job. These mindless individuals that just do what they're told without any thought behind it, without any consideration of how that's going to even affect them later, in whatever capacity that may be. They just mindlessly follow what they're told to do. Baby steps. Baby steps. Just so you guys know, once this video posts, you can fast forward it a little bit, and you can also speed up the pace. So if I'm talking too slow, you can speed it up so you can hear it, and you don't have to spend 2 hours listening. We have the abyss, and the abyss wanted to come in upside down, so I'm having a feeling that it's going to take baby steps in order for all of this to come to the surface, from all of this to come out from the dark. It's under the spring card, which was awful bright. It's going to take some time for it to be seen. And then here we have the number 2 card, which is part of the number 12 card, interestingly enough, coming out from underneath it as well. Could have something to do with an area. I don't know if there's an area code that starts with 122. Could be an address of 122. Could be December 2nd. It's also the number 5 if we add them all together. Numerologically speaking, that adds up to a 5, which is a number of change. But there's definitely a decision that needs to be made, and it has to do with somebody's mind, body, and spirit. You know, this mindless individual. And then we also had the connection to the mind here and the intellect. Interesting that they're all in the same row. I always think that's funny. We've got poison here. We also have, this can also be the pirate card. The long and short of it. Maybe someone's going to find out that they were poisoned repeatedly. That's enough to send somebody into a deer in the headlights. Whether they were poisoned in a long frame of time or a short frame of time, you're still here. You've survived. Hollywood. Again, it's all being recorded, folks. We've got Hollywood underneath the scroll, which is online viewing. Everything they've done has been recorded. This person or these people could be a part of Los Angeles and Hollywood. What they've done to you, they've done to several other people, very, very well-known people, considering this is the Marilyn Monroe Star Walk of Fame. I always thought that my mom kind of resembled her. I think they just had the same shaped nose or something. I don't know how it is, but there's something within the two of them that was very familiar. But they've done this over and over and over again, and we're going to see it online. We're going to see it as an announcement. We're going to see it in the news. We're going to see it being covered and announced and shared with the world. Casually, of course. We've got a t-shirt. And a straight jacket. Casually harming others, when in turn it's actually just harming yourself. People probably think one is kind of nutso. Sorry for the term. But they're casually trying to make someone not okay. It's a whole production with the whole Hollywood. Pirating. Isn't pirating when you film a movie and you bootlegging it, right? You film a movie of a movie and then you sell it online. And we've got our props here. People could be giving other people props. People could be using props. People are being supported in this crazy making scheme that they casually just do over time. They try not to cause too much attention to what it is that they're doing because they want it to be something casual. So if someone should talk about it, they may come across as being unbalanced and needing to be in isolation. Dreamcatcher. The carriage is about dreams. They could be doing this in the night hour, just like those owls, the nocturnal animals. What is that? Oh, soundly sleeping, taking a nap, dreams, protection from bad dreams and thoughts. Asterisk, it's in the details. How do they sleep soundly? I don't know. Maybe they're not. The asterisk is also, when I was doing my research, I found that the asterisk is also the symbol of the Star of Bethlehem. Look to the Star of the Bethlehem in order to know where it is that you're being guided to go, even in your dreams. You are protected. Pay attention to the details of things. Could also include somebody who is of that area of Bethlehem. Could have something to do with someone who practices the Jewish religion, or they are Jewish. I always get that confused. We've got balding. This person could be bald, or they could be balding. They could be feeling vulnerable because they're balding, because we had that that lobster card as well with that sense of vulnerability. They could be feeling like because they're losing their hair that they're less than, and they're trying to just to hold on to their youth in any kind of way possible. Like a thief in the night, I'm thinking with that the pirate. They're being exposed. Frother. And that exposure is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's undeniable at this point. Domino. All it takes is one domino to fall. And this brings me to the 1%. Yeah, they say that there's the 1% of the elite, but there's also the 1% of the change makers. It only takes 1% of the population for everything and all the evil to just disappear. To make a change in the world, considering we've got the 12 and the 2, which is the 5 that we spoke about. It just takes 1% to have all of those dominoes fall. There are people who are in places of authority who take their oath to heart, that they do stand to honor and protect. Someone's bitter. Someone's bitter about the games that are being played. Someone is bitter that maybe their rock went out of the lines and now they have to start over. With our hopscotch. Someone's bitter that maybe they had a misstep. Mustard seed. Someone's bitter that someone has faith of a mustard seed. Did you know that the mustard seed is even smaller than a sesame seed? I had no idea. And I also have to say, mustard seed makes a wonderful salad dressing. Yum, yum. Straight and narrow. Coming underneath the Star of Bethlehem. My goodness. And it comes underneath our number 3 card. The peace, the forgiveness, the decision to forgive. Maybe a decision to follow the straight and narrow, to have faith. That's good news. Got the bottom of the ocean here. Somebody's hit rock bottom for sure. That goes along with the abyss card. Someone's taking a closer look. Things appear larger than what they are, right? Underneath a magnifying glass. They're at the bottom of the ocean, folks. We've got a side smile. Someone's flirting with the idea. They're kind of in agreement with this whole domino thing. They kind of agree that maybe that this is something that's going on that probably shouldn't be going on. And they're kind of understanding that this is kind of a big deal. That it's not just something that people casually do. This is like serious. We've got the magnifying glass coming underneath the frother, which is already making something bigger than what it is. Maybe they're telling other people that this person is making something bigger than what it is. That they're not okay. That it's not what it seems. It's all just an act. It's all just Hollywood. It's just, Someone is side-eyeing and flirting with the idea of being part of the 1% on the other side of things, like Robin Hood. I've got the number 10 card. Someone has learned their lesson. They're starting a new cycle. Maybe someone's realizing that everything that has been set up is about to take a tumble. And I'm all of a sudden thinking, it's like, well, did they learn their lesson and they're starting a new cycle? Or are they afraid of being part of this lesson? And so now they're starting a new cycle because they're bitter, their plan didn't work. Their recess time is over. Is that why a new cycle is starting? Could have something to do with October. We've got a map here. Should we bring out my map cards? I started to move these over to other cards to use, so they might, I might need to reference 2 of them, 2 sets of cards. Providence says, okay, so these are my map cards. I guess, they're actually my passport cards, but we can use the map, right? These are such a mess now. I'm going to use these passport cards for the map cards. Because I was like, how am I going to do pictures of these? This card shows that it's part of South America and Africa, and then of course it schemes over into the Americas as well, and part of, what is that, Europe? Is that France over there? Prefectures and cantons. Whatever areas use those places. Albania, Morocco, Central Africa, Japan, the Republic. structures of the top level divisions. And who uses the cantons? I think it's just Switzerland. Yeah, and it has to do with Switzerland. So Switzerland and Africa. I remember there being a story about the one of the presidents of one of the banks, one of the CEOs of one of the banks went down in a helicopter, which I find interesting. So if there's some kind of money somewhere, it could have had something to do with maybe that CEO knowing something that wasn't wanting to play along with whatever these people were trying to make happen, and it could be connected to a Swiss bank account or offline bank accounts as well. Someone didn't want to play the game. It was just a thought. Since we're dealing with Robin Hood, who stole from the rich and gave to the poor, that's where I'm getting my finances from. Maybe that's the key here. So if somebody's looking into this, or if somebody's doing some research, or if information's about to be sprung, it probably has to do with that. Have faith, you have the key. Your dreams are protected, even in the abyss of the unknown. Because love is the final card. Love is the final card. Love always wins. That too is always recorded. Especially when you're in a place of under pressure. If you remain and you stay in a place of love, like I was talking about in the very beginning with that person, I have to also add to the story that when I was leaving that community, I noticed that there was someone parked on the other side of that security tower. They were in their car and they were about ready to leave. And so I'm wondering if that person was actually inside the security tower when he was actually having that conversation. I don't know. But we've got love being the cornerstone of all things, of peace, of keeping record, of the bottom of the ocean. Regardless of where you are, if you've hit your rock bottom, we've got the rock in the beginning when we were doing the shuffling. If you stay in a place of love, that is what the key is. Doesn't matter what else is going on. Doesn't matter what questions are being asked. As long as you continually question yourselves when you come to the crossroads and the intersections of life, that's what matters. Reflecting, looking at yourself. What is your part in things? Questioning yourself. Is this the right way to go? Should I proceed? Should I slow it the heck down? Or should I just stop altogether? Reflect on that. Someone's actions, every decision that they have made is being questioned. And we've got the oil change. It's time to change the oil. Someone's taking a double take. We've got baby steps and now we've got footsteps. The footsteps card was meant to be like a child, parent-child dynamic or a mentor-mentee dynamic, following in the footsteps of another person before you. It's time to really question and consider the path that someone is taking, the intersections and the crossroads of which they've been and becoming and going to. It's only a certain amount of time before time runs out and your engine is trash. Someone's taking a double take on the decisions and the timing of things. And perhaps even following in the footsteps of the individuals in order so they can determine exactly what it was that happened. This repeated work that was dressed up as a honey of a very sweet opportunity that you have to be invited to. Invite only. You can't just say, oh, I want to come to your function. It's also on a time crunch because this card says you have to RSVP, please, by a certain amount of time, and it's following underneath the oil change card, which is also time specific. If you don't change that oil, your engine is trash. This is an elusive invitation. This is the Sasquatch card. Maybe someone's going to be invited to something and they're going to have an answer in a certain amount of time, and they're not going to understand or believe because they're a deer in the headlights, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, is this real? Am I seeing what I'm seeing right now? Stay strong, my friend. We had that crown card in the beginning. Stay regal. Keep your self-respect. The lion is the king of peace. It could have something to do with places that practice mummification. Perhaps what they thought was laid to rest has returned. They just can't get someone to lay down. They can't get someone to give up. They can't get someone to this state. They have no ability to do so. Because this person remains to stay in a place of peace and self-respect. And that's not what they wanted. They wanted this person to be bitter, upset. It reminds me, everything, it reminds me. It reminds me of when I was talking to the community department in regards to my father's passing, because they had held on to him because he had passed at the coroner's office. He was there for a good 2 months, and oh my gosh, I cannot believe he was there for 2 months. But when they just couldn't hold him any longer, they had given me the time frame of when I had to be able to come up with the money. Mind you, he was a veteran, folks, and they say veterans are covered to be buried, that they take care of the expenses of that, but they don't. You have to come up with the money and then be reimbursed for it. So if you can't if you can't come up with the funds to proceed with their remains, then the county will take over, and the county will have them buried in like a specific part of a cemetery. And you have no rights over the ashes or the burial of your loved one if you can't come up with the funds. So with that being said, when they gave me the ample time to come up with the funds, I was unable to come up with all of the funds. And so when I called in to let them know that, they said, well, are you, gosh, the words were so extreme. Are you devastated, or are you what was the word? Or are you furious that we were unable to hold him any longer? And I told them, I'm neither of those things. Yeah, I'm disappointed, but you guys gave me the criteria and I'm not able to meet that criteria, so I can only take responsibility for the fact that I'm not able to meet up to that criteria. And it is what it is. I called so many agencies to help me. I was accused of, basically I was accused of fraud. I had one organization say, because I had to go up like 8 hours in order to take care of his apartment. Mind you, I had to either decide, am I going to take care of his apartment and find his veteran military paperwork, or am I going to pay my rent? And so I opted to take care of his belongings and hope and pray of the mustard seed that somehow I would be able to take care of my rent. And make up the money that I had to use in resources for the gas to get up there and the ability to move his belongings. And even still, I was not able to come up with the funds to have him buried the way a veteran should have been buried. So in taking responsibility for the fact that I couldn't come up with the funds, I was able to, I guess, rest well with the fact that I tried. I haven't heard back from the county office to see if there was any other funds that were supposed to be released to me. And that was quite some time ago. Oh, and then what I was saying, I went up there, and by the time I got back, there was one agency up in his area that was willing to help, but they said, we can't help you because there's so many fraud cases out there that had you seen us or spoken to us while you were here, we could have go ahead and probably approved that for you. And I'm thinking, well, there's Zoom. We can get on a Zoom call. And they're like, no, we don't work that way. And I can't tell you the number of people who are asking me for his whatever form that is. We need to have a copy of that form in order to help you. And these were people from whatever the groups are that are part of the Veterans Society, where all the veterans get together to try to help support one another or families of. And every single one of them wanted me to prove that he was a veteran before they would even give me a yes or a no if they could even help. I thought that was odd. I even had one person ask me, so did you give this to anybody else already? It was almost like they were feasting on the information in order to gain something from the scenario. Of yet, I still don't know what it is. And I even openly asked somebody, is there any reason why people would want to have this piece of paperwork? And I asked them on a group chat, like a group email link. And I didn't get an answer to that. Like, why would so many people want to have this piece of paper? If anybody knows, you could always put it in the comment section after this video post, because if you do it before the video post, I won't see it, and I'm not seeing the chat right now. I realized last time it was a little distracting for me, and so I didn't want to do that again. I wanted to stay focused. All right, so we've got wood. We've got train, we have wealth, light, earth angel lights, reflecting, beat, karmic, spiritual, not beating, a spiritual karmic here. The karmic is not beating the spiritual earth angel who's in the light. When they're trying to like derail somebody's worth or somebody's wealth. I meant to say wealth, but worth came out. Someone's bored with the plan. Maybe they're going to put it in the dumpster. The app is fired. We were talking about the online stuff, the spiritual app. Something is fired. Maybe it's a wood fire. There's a bid out. We've got the first middle or last initial of A. Could be somebody's nickname as well. We have a bid. Gaslighting bid. The 1%. Interesting. We were talking about that with the domino. And Robin Hood. It only takes 1% of the people population to make changes in the world. Promises of an opportunity here. Has to do with maybe an X that has the initial of S, first, middle, or last. X marks the spot for an opportunity, promises of an opportunity. Maybe it's a treasure of a promise of a treasure. Or treasures. Karmic situations will never beat a spiritual situation. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. It's in our faces, right? It's in every script. It's in every movie. It's biblically written who wins. The karmic will never win spiritually on the spiritual level, ever. Ever. Need I say it again? We've got pride here. Lyric is upside down. Someone doesn't have anything else to say. They've lost their music. We've got vixen here of value. Cheese and falconry. Someone underestimated the vixen's value. They probably thought the vixen was just all about smiles, smiling in people's faces. But when it comes to WAR, which falconry was used in those cases, when it comes to spiritual WAR, you would never imagine that the vixen would have the strength or even be on track for that matter, or even have the support and the strength and the belief that all it takes is the value and a smile. We've got the cheese and the value. The pride is what took away the creative nature of what was going on. The pride is what took away the ability to even come up with anything creative. The pride is what discounted what was being said. The pride is what ruined the story that they were trying to portray. Just saying. Pressure only makes diamonds, remember? We had our Hollywood Walk of Fame star here. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. I'm going to end it there. Oh, let me see what's in the center of the reed. I didn't even look at that. What's in the center of this? The straitjacket. Yeah, the straitjacket is in the center of this reed. They wanted someone in a straitjacket, but now it's them. They underestimated the power of the vixen. Yeah, the vixen would. You wouldn't. Yes, I would. Someone's fired. All right, folks. Thanks for being here. If you haven't yet, please like the video. Please subscribe. You'd be doing me a solid only because, you know. Take care. Make it a great day. I hope something wonderful happens for you. Bye.